Hello viewers, Kubiando Kith and Kin, I'm SB and welcome back to Roadwarden, where today we are headed in the general direction of the dock. It is day 33, we are definitely getting close to the end of our period here, but we're going to get to High Island. Whether or not we're going to get anything of value out of doing so is anyone's guess. First off, to the secluded residence of Eudocia the Enchantress. She's willing to talk to us during the morning, right? Only one fly is feasting on the rotting carcass of a snake that's on the side of the road. You touch the cold shell. The monster's eyes glow red. Go inside, I'll be with you soon. The stone creature lets you in, and I enter the yard. Okay, so the bronze rod thing we might be able to get there. Let's not lead with that because we kind of didn't do it the way she wanted. Let's make her happy first. Great changes are happening in the west. White Marshes is now free of necromancy. She starts to twirl her hair and looks first at you, then at the clouds. I knew about a few empty ones there, but was it really much of an issue? The tribe would burn the corpses once they stopped needing them. After you describe the weight of the situation, she grunts in approval. I was wrong then. Soon after you carry on with your tale, she lowers her head and takes a deep sigh. I've heard enough. Okay. I bring news of your parents. She takes a deep breath. Tell me. I'm afraid they didn't. I'm gonna say I'm so sorry, Eudocia. She closes her eyes. Her voice becomes absent. Back to trade then. I'm going to lower the price of my spirit rocks for you by 2 dragons. I think that's fair. She opens her gray eyes and you notice the tears. Her voice is shaking. I need a moment. If it's any consolation, the plague itself is no more. You tell her about your deeds, but she stares into the distance without so much as a gesture and doesn't ask you a single question. It takes her a minute to form a few words. So there was no hope for them, but now it's there for others. Thank you. I'll brush my horse. Once you're alone, you have an opportunity to take a closer look at the nearby golem. It seems dead, inactive, as city folks would call it, but the pneuma still makes its chunks float less than an inch away from one another. It doesn't react to your presence. Unlike the gatekeeper, it bears engraved signs on its larger rocks. Their meaning is unclear to you, and you can't tell if they're decoration or carriers of a spell. But I know these letters. The shapes represent regular words used in Wright's tablets. Their shapes are very old, angular, not adjusted to the softness of a quill. The words read as follows: hunt, prey, chase, beast, meet, run, bring, wait, and disguise. I step away. You use this hour to rest from riding. You exercise for a bit, practice combat stances with your axe, then brush aggro, which gladly takes a nap. Eudocia leaves her house. She crouches by a bucket of water and washes her face. Once she straightens up and turns toward you, there's a shadow of a smile on her lips. I'm glad you stayed around, but I'll be fine. Is there aught I can do for you? Well, I was asked to deliver the writing quills to the monastery. Oh, then you're in luck. They're ready. She opens one of the heavy doors to her house, and you catch a glimpse of a messy bed and a floor covered with clothes. She returns after a minute or so. Here. She opens a small leather case and pulls out the quills, a mix of translucent grays and whites. You step closer and reach out for them, but she keeps holding them. Why do you aid the monks? They're a rather grim bunch, aren't they? Some nasty rumors are in the air. Her grip is strong. Her eyes meet yours briefly. What do you mean by rumors? She releases the case with a frustrated grimace. What do you mean by what do you mean? She's pretty good at mimicking your accent. What is it that you haven't heard? That the monastery brings sickness and nightmares? That the monks have the village in their bandit grasp? That the prelate crawls in the caves like a beast in a den? I haven't heard any of that, no. Her gaze softens when the two of you exchange looks. I'm just glad they sent you here. I'd be glad to teach my golems to speak if it would spare me the sight of those nasty monastic robes. You glance at her own nasty robe, though she doesn't even notice it. I show her a chisel from Old Pagos. Hey, this used to belong to a sculptor there. Do you recognize it? A sad grimace cuts through her face as she rubs her arms. After a few breaths, she holds out her open palm. I give her the chisel. She stands upright in the center of the yard, with feet spread apart, arms stretched out, and the chisel placed in her right hand. After a few heartbeats, the steel rod floats in the air, maybe 2 feet away from her face, rotating slowly, rising up and descending, like a stick on a pond's surface. Her gray eyes are tender. Her voice is close to a whisper. As a kid, I made a few toys that moved on their own, but they lasted no longer than a single afternoon. A spoon that made all stuff taste sweet until it melted. A candle that shined, one that gave out a green light, but they also turned into stumps. Eudocia's long dark hair is now waving around her, but there's no wind. I wanted to make aught that would last, with no end. I was 12, such an adult soul. She lets out a chuckle. So I turned my back on my toys and took my father's old favorite tool. It was always in the shed, for he was afraid it would wear away. I heard that he was using it to the very end. I can see that. Her brief laughter adds strength to her voice. The stitches I used to hold the Numa inside are dwindling. I'll restore them in no time. She grabs the chisel swiftly. Her hair falls on her shoulders, her eyes now focused, as if she's an artisan solving a puzzle. But why keep it the same? A new owner could put it to new use. What do you mean? Well, currently, this chisel adapts to the surface it touches. When used against glass, it makes powerful hits gentler. When against stone, it strengthens them. You get the idea. She points at you with the tool, then puts her weight on her left leg. I'll remove these limitations, make it so that it will simply enhance any strike made with it. A weapon, well, against rocks. A tool of destruction. She looks up and starts to laugh at her own joke. Her relaxed shell makes her feel like a different soul. Yeah, sounds useful indeed. She returns to her previous position. You better go ahead and find aught to do. I'm not a kid anymore, but it still may take me a while. The chisel floats again, carefully examined by the enchantress. You find yourself a wooden block and sit down. We're having, now that I'm mostly concerned about time, we're having a lot of things to do where we have to just sit still for hours and hours and hours. You inspect your clothes, especially the cloak, and take a look at your blade. Finally, the enchantress stands still, holding her new creation in one hand and scratching her chin with the other. You gather your stuff and approach her, but she doesn't look at you. Is something wrong? No, not at all. I'm just surprised. She hands it back to you. I didn't expect that my past intuition was this sharp. I thought it would take me much longer. Well, go ahead, test it. Maybe there. She points at the wall behind her house. The chisel is just as warm as it was when you received it in Old Pagos, but now it quivers gently, as if it's barely confining its power. You press it against one of the larger bricks, then hit it with the blunt side of your axe. The rock moves by about 2 inches, with a pattern of cracks that resembles broken glass. After your next strike, it falls out of the wall, leaving behind a cloud of only dust. Or leaving behind only a cloud of dust. Huh. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Eudocia welcomes your return with a confident smile. Pretty good, huh? Thanks to you, I finished what I left behind many years ago. She takes a deep breath. Let me know if you need aught else. Yeah, you ever heard about High Island? Of course, she says right away, but then leans away and glances at your boots. Though I didn't pay much attention to the monks' tales. She brushes her dark hair with her fingers, asking you to give her a moment. She doesn't share much with you. High Island is the largest island that's somewhat close to the coast, but its huge volcano makes it a worrying sight. It may be covered with green forests and hills, but no tribe aspires to claim it. You may want to ask Foggy. She loves tales of weird places. Yeah. Hey, I've heard about some bandits. They don't bother you at all? She glances at the gate. Now, they don't attack me, but Glossia is fucking terrifying. Here's a little tip, and engrave it on your soul. She can't be reasoned with. If you're strong, threaten her. If weak, ask for mercy, I guess? She wanted to work with me, but I need no right to know her soul is wicked. She takes a step toward you. I think they're somewhere in the deep woods. I don't know much about these lands. I've got other stuff to worry about. There's only one place I know of that could keep an entire band, an old lumberjack camp. But you won't reach it through any of the main roads, so... She steps back. That's that. Yeah, I have some questions about your golems. Okay, furniture that walks and works. Would you sell one? One day, or so I hope. She points at a golem's hand. One wrong order and it'll tear your head away or kick over a house. It won't ever be safe, but the dead make for bad customers, and I won't be blamed for others' stupidity. Her further answers come in greater detail, but they're rather complex. From what you understand, she plans to invent a set of very specific commands that could be quickly learned, then bind them to a wand, binding that to the creature. I'm still not sure if it's the safest solution. If a wand was taken by a reaver, stuff could get ugly. Okay, interesting. I want to collect my reward for the bronze rods? Okay, so she did pay us. Even though we didn't plant one in White Marshes because of the fact that we changed the situation. I am so glad, and I was really worried that was not going to work that way because I feel like in most video games it wouldn't, right? Eudocia wipes her hands on her robe, puts one into her pocket, and waits for you to describe the locations where you've placed the rods. She asks you for a few details, then thinks aloud. Let's see, 5 rods in total, so that'll be... Here you go. We have a new option to ask her. I mean, we know where he went, but I am kind of curious what she'll say. I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. She looks in the distance, holding one arm across her stomach and twirling her hair with the other. I should smoke aught, or at least gather wood. The summer's almost over. I could help you with that? She glances at you, but it takes her a few breaths to answer. We've no time for it, do we now? Wardens never do. Neither do enchanters. She lets out a long exhale. You're someone who puts actions first. Asterion was the same. If aught happened to him, don't let yourself fall too. Her description of his appearance matches what you heard from Tulia. I didn't talk to Tulia when we were at the Pelt. It's probably not a big deal. Don't be deceived by his height, she adds. He brought me herbs guarded by a bear folk. Not many could match his spear and bow. In return for his various favors, I shoved Numa into his cloak, making it as warm and soft as the pelt of a white wolf. Best sleep of my life. She raises her daydreaming eyes. Her voice grows confident. If Asterion is still here, I'm sure he still has the cloak. It's green, has a light hood and embroidered leaves. Interesting. When was the last time you saw him? Soon before he vanished. He was anxious, tired, unkind, but from a heavy heart. He didn't explain, I didn't ask. He rested at her place for a few hours, healed himself with magic, and prepared his equipment. She shows a surprising memory for details, but not especially useful ones. He told me he was going to start a great journey, and that he'd bring back many stories, but he was afraid. I know he was. Well, did he ask for anything weird before he left? Like maybe he wanted something? She scratches the sand with her foot. Yes, actually. He wanted to borrow a golem of mine. She seems to finish her tale, but after seeing your look, she clears her throat. Oh, that's not an option. I've no way to stay in touch with the sentinels that are far from here. Well, do you have any message for him, in case I do find him? Message. Just tell him he still owes me for the cloak. He knows we're not even. It's a damn treasure. She puts on a smile, but her eyes betray her melancholy. Does she want to know this? She'd probably think it was funny. I spoke with the monks. They're quite afraid of you. Are they now? She meets your eyes. What did they tell you? As you recollect your memories, she patiently listens to your tale, staring into the distance with her arms crossed. So that's how they see me now, a beast spending every breath to hurt them. Yet they still ask me to put spells on their tools. She remains still, moving only her lips, drawling out every word. Now, all it took was for me to move on, to leave them behind. They call themselves pacifists, unlike bloodshedding unites, they say, yet force my tribe to do work for them, from their birth to the pyre. It's the same sickness of the soul, believing that you see the truth, but that all other souls are blind. When she realizes her voice is getting close to a shout, she falls silent. Okay, so I don't think I want to do any spirit rock trading. Clearing the roads. She's down to 10 food rations, but I can't do it, so I guess we just move on. So here's a question. It took a little longer than I thought. 9:30. Now that the chisel is proper magic, maybe we could do this? Oh, also, you know what? While I have a second here, I should eat food. Do we want to go see Glossia is the other question. It's 33. We still have a little time. Yeah, I'm definitely worried. We have so much to do still, I feel like. But maybe we should go see Glossia. I'm wondering if... So Thyrsis wanted us to weaken the bandits somehow. I wonder if we've done enough. What would be... Did we have a quest from Thyrsis for that? For measuring that? I don't think we did. Doshi gave me the quills. Still got to figure that out, potentially. Had a chance to take a look at the golems. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to make a trip into the woods here. I mean, as good a shape as I'm ever going to be, right? Like, feeling competent. Return to the bandits' hideout. Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, you prepare yourself to face the gnolls, but no such creatures show up to face you. Maybe they found another spot to rob. I'm much more dangerous now than I used to be. The ford. I could spend time gathering larger rocks and throwing them into the water. This is probably the last time we're coming into the woods, right? Maybe. I'm gonna do this. An hour should be enough to cover at least half the gaps. Not unlike the boulders from the last days before the 10 cities, you put the last boulder, taming this scrap of wilderness, sorry, twitchy hand, even if slightly. The tightly arranged rocks remind you of a cobbled road leading to Hovlevan. Even a wagon carried by 2 mules could get to the other side without stopping. Do I want to... what would be the value? I'm going to do this just because it's such a weird thing to offer. I stay around for a minute or two with my hands on my hips, observing the result of my work. Doesn't seem to have done anything. You hear angry shouts and grunts, then find 2 brown-furred goblins in a brighter tunnel. Their hairless faces with small eyes and large mouths are now turned toward you. They're a few steps apart, aiming at each other with 1 long stick and 1 club. Between them is a pair of deer antlers. I'm going to take those antlers. I scare them away and grab the antlers. You get a bit closer with your mount towering over the beasts. They exchange looks, let out a gurgle, and crawl away, giving you hateful glances. I thought they were going to be, they were going to require a little bit more effort to do that too. I was ready to like spend a crossbow bolt. After they flee through the bushes, you jump on the ground and reach for your prize. And it turns out to be a trap? Nope. Okay, we're good. Just got a thing we can sell. You'd reach the gate without issue, but a trail of blood makes you suddenly stop. A few people approach the gates talking about the deer they just caught. The highwaymen give you distrustful looks, and, holding their weapons, tell you to move slowly and to put your axe on the ground. Okay, fucking calm down. She welcomes you with a grin and leads you deeper into the hamlet. Our watchers saw the commotion. I'd rather see the necromancer pay the price for his deeds, but at least he's away from my land. I would merely prefer to not put hope into your judgment. Yeah. How do I want to do this? If I tell her about the man she's looking for, she's going to be cross with me because I didn't kill him. And I don't know how to find him again, so I can't do anything else with him. Do you still have the spices you took from the merchants? I need some to get on the good side of the... Oh, they did say spices from foreign lands, didn't they? 29 coins, criminy. This again. Well, you're in luck. We sell our wares sparsely to make sure everyone needs them. She turns toward you and runs her hands over you, then pats your arm with her strong hand. Runs her eyes over you. I'll give you a box with many different sacks for 29 coins. I give discounts to helpful allies. Shit, how much money do we have? 27. Alright. About the man you're looking for. Well, I'm a little surprised that she's not giving me a discount because of I dealt with the fucking undead. I'm a helpful ally. Alright, about the man you're looking for. Damn it, sorry, my hand is seizing up a little. What is it? I didn't tell him to go to the cabin. Well, I found him hiding in a cave not so far away from here. She steps toward you and pats your shoulder, a bit too roughly. The smirk of her scarred lips is brief but telling. All right, we may still have time to get to him. What do you want? 4 coins or 6 arrows? How many arrows do I have? I have 8. I'll take the coins. I can't imagine having opportunity to fire 8 crossbow bolts. Take the bones. Don't make us wait, she orders a guard who heads to the building's entrance. For the next minute or two, you wander forward, and even after the coins enter your hand, Glaucia says nothing. Her steps are light and not as loud. Okay, that's good. About the spices? 27 now. And what else would you like me to do? She maintains her pace. I was planning to ask you for help with necromancers, but I guess we're already over that. Didn't expect to find a city folk ready to take such dire matters into their own hands. But I'll take what I can get. So if we've done that, it didn't change the price any. Okay. So anything else? Nothing else. Have you heard anything about High Island? This again. Is that some lair of Roadwardens? Her response is as quick as a whip. Don't waste my time. If you want me to help you find Asterion, be useful. Well, it seems like she doesn't want to offer me another job or anything. I do want the spices. I don't think it's a good idea to go back down to 4 dragon bones after everything we've done. We'll get some when we ride past the monastery. We're going to talk to Foggy. Maybe I can afford to do that. I think if we're going to buy the spices, I think we need to do it before we do this, is my concern. Because I think she's going to have some feelings about that. She probably doesn't want to talk about her past. Do I think I'm going to annoy her enough to make the situation worse, though? Probably not. Let me ask about White Marshes. Why did you target White Marshes? Why shouldn't I? She turns just her head, giving you an annoyed glance. Would you rather have me observe their undead army grow? So no other reason at all, then. She ambles forward without looking at you. I have nothing to gain from telling you some stories. You fought for what's right. Don't stop now. So she wants me to do more for her, but she's not giving me a way to do more for her. Foggy mentioned some dark days pushed you into becoming a bandit? More of them than you can count. Or did you think people leave their warm homes to go pick easy coins? We have survivors from the long-gone village of Steep House, a lad forced into marriage by some old pricks with long beards, a cooper whose daughter poisoned herself with a daffodil pie, a hunter whose home was lost to a fire, a shepherd who took an oath to clean these woods of wolves, and a hungry thief who chose to run away instead of losing their arm. The guards are now more numerous. Some of them look down, casting you shameful glances, while others meet your eyes, keeping their backs straight. We were all wronged by this land. Glaucia carries on, and as her steps grow springy, her mail becomes annoyingly loud. And our work will give our pride back. You know, there are some who are convinced that you had something to do with Asterian's disappearance. She stops in place, and her heavy hand rests on your shoulder, pulling you down. You catch the weak scent of myrtle, a flower that grows in warmer lands and is often delivered by ships to Hovlavon. A bit like a sour fruit, a bit like mint. And who are those some? You notice the two of her front teeth are missing. I'm going to go ahead and tell her because I'm trying to get her more on my side, and also because I think when we deliver sort of the blow about creeks, it's going to put her in a position not to be able to really do harm anyway. We'll see about that. Ela of Creeks, for one. She takes her hand off you and continues her walk. I had something to discuss with him anyway. I'll use the opportunity to make him remember the value of silence. All the way down to 26, huh? I am supposed to ask for permission before going to the island. It's what I told the old druid I would do. Plus, I mean, they'll probably know stuff about the island, right? They'll be useful. This is going to slow down my return to the west side of the peninsula, though. Fucking fine. All right. Bought the spices. So, tell me about yourself. She stops and rubs a large nettle leaf between her fingers. There ain't much story in me to share. As a young lass, I was taught to sew for food and planned to start a family with a kind cobbler. Her voice weakens and she looks down at her boots. I had to leave my family and I accepted it. On my way to the wedding, them awoken shells took my closest friend, my face, and the hand I worked with, and I accepted it. The rite gave me no kids, and I accepted it. She then runs her eyes over the nearby guards, raising her voice almost to a shout. But after them monsters hit my home and shattered everything I had built or loved, I would not accept it. With or without the rite, I'll make those butchers pay. Her wounded eye, far from being free of the pain it has seen, looks at you with determination. I've been here for 10 years now, and I'll be here as long as it takes, by myself if I must. Tapping the hilt of her sword, she moves forward. 10 years ago. You were there when Steep House fell, weren't you? She stops and turns around. When she places a hand on her side, the mail clinks. Oh, I saw it all right. Thea's threats, the torches and bows of her people, the druids in clean robes with curses on their tongues. I helped the others add logs to our broken wall, but when the herds got in through the breach, all I could do was run. So I did. She closes her eyes, but her wounded hand instantly moves to the scabbard of her blade just in case. I still remember two young men, no, boys, fighting each other by the flames of my house and a head hitting a tree. My husband screaming from pain in our bed, poisoned by the well, not knowing he would never fall asleep nor wake up. And a werebear grasping my friend, then tearing her shell in half. I and a few others carry it all. Her absent eyes glance at one of her guards, a man with a face eaten by fire, and will never forget. I know Theus was angry about the thing with the Covenant, but why were the people of Howlers willing to do all this? They would say we were asking for it. I spent not even 15 years in Steep House, but I saw my share of quarrels between the two villages. Did you know they were both the same tribe? It's true, she emphasizes, even though her eyes are focused on the roaming rooks. She must have told this story many times already. Howlers started a fishing hamlet at the stream bank, and it sprouted into a new village. In a few generations, Steep House grew strong enough to prosper without Howlers' help, so they decided to cut ties. We pretty much paid taxes, you see, and got little in return, chiefly since we were placed closer to the hill pass, and many traders turned around soon after they entered our gates. My neighbors had riches, all right, good food, pretty homes. She pauses, and you're not sure if these words make her at all proud. But respected their land, woods, and stream. The only greed we faced was that brought to us with violence. Her furious eyes look away and she strides forward. So, who are you even robbing on these roads? You don't understand our path, stranger. Her voice is harsh but carries no grudge. Yes, we took a few things from the settlements, or forced some merchants to pay us for escorting them, she says with amusement. But we ain't some bloodthirsty robbers. We cut our own firewood, hunt to fill our bellies, trade if we need to. You'd be surprised, she turns around and takes a few steps backward, gazing into your eyes, how little work one needs when you have strong arms, no taxes, and no young or old mouths to feed. You glance at the massive hole in the southern part of the wall. Her lips tighten and she turns away again. We won't stay in this place much longer. After spending a few days on these roads, I don't know if I want to do this. This seems much. But if I reinforce that the way they're living now is not really sustainable for them, maybe it'll cushion the blow of the Gale Rocks thing. Because I do feel bad for her. You know, after spending a few days on these roads myself, I'm surprised your band didn't get mauled to death yet. She looks at a man who's missing an eye. We've been marked in many ways, she starts carefully. And we've burnt our share of shells. Not all of us were here from the beginning, you see. After you ask her for any tips on how to survive on the road, she shrugs, then moves her hands behind her back, still turned away from you. Not for a rider, I don't. When we move in strong groups, smaller monsters stay away, and you can't fight the packs numerous enough to attack us. Her pause is long enough that you consider changing the topic, but then she carries on. What you need to learn is that there ain't anything free in the woods. A lost bone, rotten apple, shiny pebble, a cave, everything will be eaten or taken away, and if it's laying there all by itself, you better wonder why. Yeah, that's fair. Do we want to say this? Because again, I want to make it so that she's going to be amenable to the idea of living in a town. I'd love it if she didn't kill me after I told her about the council. That's definitely one of the main things I'm thinking right now. So why don't you try to secure these roads? She kicks away a small rock, one of the many you step on. The roads are fine as they are. You ask her for any thoughts on how people see them as dangerous, too much so for maintaining trade, but she chuckles in response. Some of them will do better by never leaving their homes. Yeah, okay. Alright, I think I'm just gonna do it. The Council of Gale Rocks held a meeting about cutting ties with your band. She freezes, then looks at you with a puzzled frown creasing her healthy eye. Meeting? What are you talking about? You summarize the situation, and she looks at her boots, with hands on her sides. Oh, you're treading on shaky ground if you think I can't connect this whole thing to your recent arrival. You're responsible for what's going on. She meets your eyes, and the fury you find in her look makes you step back. So why are you here? To beg for my forgiveness, or to bring good news? We could lie to her, and still she probably counts as weakened for the purposes of whatever it is Thyrsis wanted. I'm gonna tell her the truth, and hope she doesn't have us killed. Gosh, she's gonna be really mad. I'm armed. They have my horse. I mean, it's the truth, though. Eudocia told us either act tough if you think you're tough, or be, like, very conciliatory otherwise. I'm going to tell her the truth. Look, from now on, don't count on the help of the people of Gale Rocks. You're advised to disband. Here we go. What is that? Okay, was brave enough to tell her about it. Don't like that it's a broken bone. She raises her eyes, then with a sigh, puts on a glove. Brave of you to bring me the news in person. I appreciate that. She clenches her fist a few times, then glances at the other woman from her band. Let's get to work. Something hard hits the back of your head. You land on your knees, then your face hits the ground. Your hand touches the nettle leaves. Play weak if you're weak, play strong if you're strong. But the thing is, I don't really I could beg for forgiveness, right? I am tough. I could fight, but I can't fight the whole lot of them, and they have my horse. I'm gonna try being gutsy with them. I'm gonna try, she said appreciate, she thinks I'm brave. I'm gonna act big. I order them to let me go. Order them to let me go. And then everything goes dark. You wake up tied to your saddle, with blood and vomit in your hair. You blink a few times, moving as little as you can. For the time being, you put your trust in Agro. It's at the edge of panic, trembling with ears pinned, making not even a snort. Still, it does what it's been taught, follows the beaten trail, avoiding the thicket, and speeding up at the sight of wild beasts lured by your stench. I try to wake up and grab the reins. After you get to the cairn, you cut the rope that was keeping you on the palfrey's back. You give yourself a few minutes and prepare yourself to get to safety. 4 hours. We want to go back to Foggy's. I think I want to ride to the Painted Boulder. Oh, come on. It doesn't look like they took any of my stuff. They just kicked the shit out of me. They're not bandits, what do you know? You stop your palfrey and fix your eyes on the critter under a lonely tree. It's furry, shorter than your arm, no taller than a handspan, with tiny ears. It's mostly brown, with a white stomach and a black tip of its tail. Nimble like a cat, it pokes with its nose something among the tall grasses. The stoat tears apart the large nest made of twigs and leaves, one of which remains are still hanging from the branches above. That's almost English. You pay attention to the rustling leaves and take a deep breath. The blooming water would cover up your scent. I'm going to shoot it with my crossbow. I'll take the food if we can get the food. I'm okay losing a crossbow bolt if we don't get anything from it. It's fine. The bolt pierces the side of the little shell, hits the tree, and shatters. The critter whines in pain, but takes only a few short steps before it chokes on its blood. By the time you approach it, it needs no mercy. You crouch to pick it up. One could turn the shell into a nice pelt. The creature is warm but still, with wide-open black eyes as round as a pearl. You raise your eyes at the clouds. The remains won't last more than 2 or 3 days of late summer weather. Better look for a buyer soon. You take a closer look at the nest. The blue-dotted eggs are shattered to pieces, their contents devoured. I pack the stoat into an empty sack. You spot a glint of a spearhead among the bushes and a staff right next to it. They approach the trail quickly. I reach for my axe and shield. Armed goblins, with brown, gray, and black furs, cease their onslaught a few steps away from you. Some of them move on all fours, while the others stand upright or lean on their weapons, balancing as they walk. They carry clubs, pointed sticks, rusty spears, a broken sword, a cartwheel. They fearfully observe your mount until one of the creatures steps forward and screams angrily. Its color is remarkably similar to the ones that were fighting over a deer antler. Yep, I need to run. With too many beasts to fight and not enough space to turn around, you're forced to rely on your palfrey's speed. Keeping the axe low, you knock away the few creatures that almost catch you, but not before they land a few hits with their blunt weapons. Once we leave this part of the forest, I wash Agro's wounds. I think there's legitimately a chance that we'll never need to come back to the middle of the woods. So I do feel like I maybe wasted my time with the fixing that river, but we did get a marker for it. I don't know. Maybe it'll make somebody else's life easier. Okay, 3:15. Can't make it back to Foggy's. Gonna have to sleep at the abandoned watchtower. Is there a reason to go see Eudocia? I guess there's no reason not to. We can't get anywhere else that matters. Yeah, foraging grounds. We wouldn't have time to get back to the tower. We're definitely going to have to sleep at the watchtower. I guess we can ride back to Eudocia. 1:15, right? Yeah. Oof. That was costly. Come in. I wouldn't mind a bit of company. The golems let you in. You let Agro loose, but no soul shows up to greet you. The door of the house is ajar. Huh. I go inside. The chamber was meant to have only one dweller, but even in Hovlevan it would be seen as outrageously tiny. The air carries the scent of sweat and dirty clothes, but more importantly, smoke. A couple of fish and other pieces of meat are hanging above the hearth, even though there's no fire left. Wait, did I still have the spices? Did they leave me? Yes, okay. All right. Eudocia is sitting on the floor, with her back leaning against the wooden step, legs outstretched, feet resting on a wooden pillar. She's staring intensely at a sharp dagger that she spins in place. I greet her first. She nods, but doesn't look at you. The house is a mess. If it bothers you, complain to the broth I made. A long pause. Take a seat if you want. It's getting chilly outside, and you don't act like a bandit, so far. If you need a place to crash, stay in my shed. Just don't carry any candles inside. I store hay there. Yeah, wow. Thank you. I rest next to her on the floor? She nudges you with an elbow. So just don't get weird. So, what do you want? Out of curiosity... Nope, no different... We have, it's back to her old prices, isn't it? Weird. Maybe it's the right time to offer her work in the city? Is that a thing I want to do? I guess I could say something to her about it. Can't imagine it's gonna hurt anything. You glance at her absent eyes. She's shown you signs of trust, but you won't convince her with just a smile. The more you learn about the peninsula, the more arguments you'll have at your disposal. Do I want to offer her work in the city, though? Is it a good thing for the peninsula for her to go work in the city? I'm not sure that the answer to that question is yes. I'm going to say I'm not... I don't want to do this. So we don't have anything... The price went up. Yeah, I don't actually have anything. And I do want to go back to the tower because I want to be able to... I can cook the stoat, right? I think. If I go back inside, hold on. If I sleep here... Okay. You can also use a wash tub and repair your equipment. That's interesting. I need to eat something right now, which is not a big deal. Okay, so the actual deal here is we would be hungry. We would gain vitality, which I think we don't if we stay at the tower, right? How long? 2 hours? And it's 45 minutes back to the tower. We could cook and then ride back. I'm going to try it. I actually would rather stay at Eudocia's if she'll let us. I may use this campfire in the future. I'm not allowed to prepare the stoat here, I guess. If I were to sleep here, I would not gain the vitality. So, yeah, fuck it. We'll stay with the Enchantress. She seems rad. I'm just gonna get to sleep if it's cool. Sorry, no, I'm not. I'm gonna use my inventory. I'm going to work on my gambeson. You can patch your jacket, but your lack of proper training will hold you back. Yeah. It's too dark and you're too sleepy to work on your gambeson. Yep. All right. Worth it. So it says in the sleep thing, you can use a wash tub and repair your equipment, but we're losing cleanliness, so we're not gaining anything else. I don't know. Weird. Let's go ahead and do it. We'll sleep in the shed. The shivers wake you up. The cold breeze enters through the ajar gate of the shed. You see Eudocia in the yard, with a blanket on her shoulders, and her feet sunk into the freezing ground. She greets you with a slight nod, then closes her eyes, taking in deep breaths. Her golems are just behind her, on the brink of visibliness. That's not visibility, is what they mean. Weird. You let Agro drink outside, then close both of you in the shed. There isn't much fodder around. The dragons from the mountains wake you up with their roars, but the heavy steps of the sentinels ease your soul. The yard is carefully patrolled. Some of the hay gets under your clothes, but at least your back doesn't ache in the morning. You let your palfrey outside. And yeah, I just absolutely do not... I was misled about the presence of some things. That's fine. Right? She doesn't have she doesn't have any services available for trade. Okay. Yeah, there's just some text in the game that probably got changed, but it didn't get the stuff behind the scenes got changed and the text didn't get changed, is what I mean. Let's try to just ride up to the Green Mountain Tribe. We have the thing they asked for. I look like shit, but hopefully they'll be cool with it. Hopefully they'll be chill. We have the healing potion, but I'm going to try to save it. Because if we end up sleeping somewhere else, like we could end up gaining a couple points of vitality back before we leave. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, up to the tribe. I show her my possessions. Do any of these interest you? Just the spices, really. She doesn't want the fancy, like the super enchanted chisel? I'm actually really disappointed by this. Well, she points at the only thing that her tribe could use. Her neighbors gather around, lightheartedly commenting on things you carried onto the mountain. Yeah. The locals pick up the sacks and smell their contents. An enthusiastic whisper runs among them, and the Saurian rider speaks with a smile, affectionately patting the bag. We have plenty of herbs, but only a few of their type grow in our mountains. Having unique spices to grind would be a great gift for us. All right, very well, take it. She gives you a few minutes to pack your belongings. Your beast will be safe here, she says confidently. We have enough meat, hides, and muscles. We won't rob you. Let it graze. After you tether Agro to a tree, Keeping it away from most garden patches, you head to the cave mouth. The corridor goes down, getting darker after only a few steps, but seeing how often the locals go through it without any source of light, you doubt there's going to be many treacherous steps ahead of you. Still, your guide leaves the shed with a lantern made of old brass, with windows engraved with winged dragons circling around an erupting volcano. I wish I'd stopped and washed and repaired my clothes, actually. Shit, yeah, I could have a lot more appearance. Well, too late. I grab my own lantern. The tongue sticking out of the entrance doesn't go on for long. For some time, you descend gently, then encounter a set of spiral stairs. Once you reach the bottom, you find yourself in a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers, some of them sunk in darkness, others lit by campfires, with smoke leaving through holes in the ceilings. Spread among them are dozens of children and elders, but also workbenches and other spots worked by adults, some of them too busy to even spare you a look. There are woodworkers, water carriers, potters, flour millers, cooks. You hardly notice how stuffy the air is down here. Seeing the consistently spacious corridors, conveniently wide enough for even an obese shell to squeeze through them, you can't tell how many, if any, of these passages were not made by human hands. The entire walk takes only a few minutes, but the sheer amount of rooms you walk by makes you lose your way many times before you reach a short path leading to a bright, warm chamber, to which the Saurian rider invites you with a gesture. You smell smoke and humidity, and as you listen, the humming of a stream reaches you from below. Much louder are the cries of an infant, amplified by an echo. I put away my lantern and enter the chamber. The simple huts are short enough for you to see their hide-covered roofs from above, and as you look at the ceiling, there's no water dripping on them. They don't offer much privacy either. Even if the entrances were covered with a curtain, the gaps between the bones let you peek inside. It's as if they one day collapsed here from the surface, losing their purpose, but remaining as a relic of the old way of living. While the huts are only filled with furs and a few pieces of clothing, the chamber is far from empty. A few women, some of them very young, some in their 30s or 40s, are sitting around the campfire feeding infants or playing with toddlers. There's a man stretching a piece of leather on a tanning rack, and you hear splashes of water coming from a corner. When your eyes land on two people sitting in a circle of wooden stumps, their gaze makes your destination clear. I step closer. They are sitting a few steps away from one another, and as you're invited to sit down, the three of you form a triangle. The air is heavy, but you smell no sweat or dirt, and aside from the crying child and echoes of distant play and conversations, the dancing lights and crackling wood are no less cozy than an inn in the evening. The man in his 50s is leaning forward, resting his elbows on his thighs, more like a tired guard than a distinguished ruler. He's dressed just as heavily as the people you saw on the surface, but the fabric of his clothes are so dark blue that it's almost black. He's barefoot, and you wonder if that's enough to not make him sweat under the layers of wool. His helmet, shield, and sword are resting on the ground. His long gray hair freely surrounds his face, which is covered with wrinkles and scars. Some beast was lucky enough to leave a mark deeper than that. The man's nose is missing, leaving a disfigured hole. The woman could be 25 and has absent eyes that are roving over your outfit, equipment, face, and hands. She's dressed much more humbly than the man. Her tunic and pants are undyed and short enough to reveal her calves and forearms. She has unevenly cut short black hair and a yellow kerchief that's hanging from her neck, lazily thrown over her back. Her legs are stretched out in front of her, resting on the heels of her sandals and swaying left and right, spread just above an unfolded sack covered with gemstones, pebbles, and animal bones. She keeps her hands on the nearest trunk, desperate for something to support her back. Both of them are unusually pale, but the woman looks almost sick. I introduce myself. You speak in the old speech, and the man smiles. Let's use the city tongue from now on. Our shaman. He looks at the young person in a light outfit. I taught her what I knew, but we both need the practice. She frowns and waves her hand in front of her nose, as if there's a fly there. Hello. Her voice is both delicate and annoyed. Shaman Gayan, she struggles to utter. The man stares at you, speaking more confidently and with a greater familiarity of the sounds he uses. And I'm Cephas, the chief of the tribe of the Green Mountain. Your gift bought you our time, but we've busy lives. I try to get used to their dialect. Who sends you, Samhain? As Roadwarden, I want to be sure you don't need my help. I'm not going to bring up Havlavan, because that's not really true anymore, even. I deserve to speak with you. Yeah, okay. I think about the words of the old druid. I'm a freedom seeker, a friend of the speakers of the forest. This does not strike me as a vulnerable approach, but I do like it, actually. Representing myself as, giving myself this allegiance in their eyes. Yeah. He straightens up, giving you a serious look. Then sit down with us and rest, for we've all found our freedom here. The shaman gives you both puzzled looks, but says nothing. May the freedom seeker be free of hunger and welcomed, he says to her, then addresses the women sitting at the fire in the old speech. Soon after you sit down, an aromatic bowl of stew lands in your hands, warming them up. The chief and the shaman also receive very small servings, accompanying you. Once the bowls are taken away, the gentle voice of Gayan breaks the silence. Can't move mountains for you, but we listen and share. She reaches for a few gems in various colors and puts them into a single row. Can we talk about High Island? We can, but no soul of our tribe has been there in generations. Even a gentle frown changes the chief's scarred face greatly. We won't return there while the cities remain a threat. Would it matter to you if I were to land there? The chief answers slowly, with a night-cold voice. We'll cut any limb that so much as touches our homeland. Why don't you want anyone to land there? What good could it bring us? The chief leans back, as if there's nothing to talk about. After a few breaths, the shaman chips in. We'll enter the island like a traveler returning to our bed. Eyes of the city folk not see our homeland, or see not our homeland, but their failed search for iron. Eyes of the other tribes see our lost treasure not as our soil, sky, and rains, but only as belongings to grab and sell. Our friends help us keep an eye on the island, and if anyone breaks our rule, we'll be ready to swim there and stop their greed. But it's no longer a home to any human soul. Okay, well, I am going even if they don't give us permission, to be clear. But I would prefer they not swim over there and try to fight me. What's the story of the island? Gayan smiles and starts to speak in the old speech, as if she's repeating the same tale for the 100th time, then chuckles. Once she shifts to the city tongue, she struggles at some points, but Cephas provides her with words and phrases or fills the gaps on his own. The Green Mountain, the life-giving volcano in the center of the island, has been home to the tribe for longer than anyone can remember, as we're older than any of the 10 cities, though you doubt there are any ways to verify such a claim. The shaman spends a good few minutes describing the days of their ancestors. Through hardship, they managed to tame enough land to grow vegetables, and made a great chunk of the island their forest garden. After finding the iron and copper veins, they had enough tools and weapons to save their offspring from backbreaking labor. She's also eager to describe the deeds of many families and heroes, and the unique herbs with their beautiful names, but the chief asks her to move on. For most of its existence, Havlavan avoided the island, finding hardship in getting close to it, and since the pagans were reluctant to accept dragon bones, merchants saw little value in their wares. However, once the tribes of the peninsula noticed the growing supply of alloys used by the island folk and their fishers, news reached the city. A little more than 200 years ago, the officials tried to negotiate a new trade deal with the locals, but to no avail. Finally, they allowed the corsairs to start their usual efforts, putting to use the growing height of their ships. At first, they harassed the fishers, then landed on the island itself. The tribe was ready to fight for what was theirs, but the cruelty they faced outmatched them. The kidnappings made the locals afraid to leave their walls, and then the raids enslaved whole hamlets or burned many crucial structures. Using traps and their knowledge of the terrain, the tribe managed to kill more than they lost, but the corsair ships kept coming, always led by new yet even more experienced captains. After a few bloody battles, the forest fires started, and the locals understood they had little time before the wrath of the herds would trample them to death. We are the 8th generation of the tribe living here, so close to the coast yet so far from it. She ends her tale. Taming the new grounds was harsh, and once the first children born in these tunnels started breeding, only a fifth of the tribe was still here to welcome them. Okay. Is the island dangerous? Cephas shrugs. As dangerous as the wildest woods and hills. Its roads are no more, and spiders and ape men now live in our houses. The city folk who tried to take our lands may still be there, walking shells without souls, but after so much time, they likely went after blood on the mainland. So why won't your tribe try to reclaim the island? We know this already, but they don't know that we know it. The root of our torment survived the plain, the invasion, and disasters now known only to the oldest tales. Guyenne grabs a few small bones from the fabric beneath her and starts to roll them between the palms of her hands. We have no strength to fight it, no hope to defeat it, but we can wait in humbleness and hope the spirits will turn our face away once our enemies come to him for help. Cephas rests a hand on his side. Returning would anger the herds and cost us dearly. Yet after 1-2 generations, once our walls and children grow strong, he looks at an infant being fed by the fire. The corsairs will once again bring torches and chains, for their right allows them to murder freely. He utters the soul carrier's name with disgust. Leading our tribe to her homeland is to dream of every chief and shaman, but it's a dream of the prideful. Okay. Maybe we can get them to trust us enough to not try to kill me when I go to the island, which I am doing. The thing is, I'm trying to find Asterion. He was here, and a few times. With every word, Cephas's voice gets quieter, as if he's not sure how to continue. We helped him, for he gave us a grand promise and a sign of his trustworthiness. Brought back a soul thought to be lost in the woods, but it's been almost a season since we saw him. That Saurian I saw outside, it used to belong to him, am I right? That's correct. Cephas's approving eyes contrast with the threatening look of his nose. That's judgmental. And his voice is warm. Where he was heading, there was no place for a beast that doesn't swim well, so he asked us to look after it. And also, he was afraid of the unicorns. After you mention that you doubt having fewer teeth would help someone deal with such a monster, Guyenne chuckles, then bites her lower lip, showing her unusually long canines. You'd like to cut the skin of a spirit of havoc. City folk think the unicorns are but a battering ram, yet they are their own soul carriers, led by judgment, not anger. Eat grass and shoots, not flesh, and when not with calves, listen to the kind tales and prayers. The chief nods. It was wise of him not to take with him a bloodthirsty saurian. It won't learn when to bow, for it trusts only its own muscles and fear. Interesting. What kind of person is Asterion? A shell lost on its path to nowhere. Guyenne stares into your eyes. A soul torn by its dreams. A word spoken to no one. The chief frowns but doesn't add anything. How do I want to do this? I mean, I'd like to learn more about your village. Maybe you have something I could do for you or give you. The shaman leans forward, smiling. The fire plays with her shadow. And how? In your tongue? Without crossing our tunnels, or plowing our fields, or battling the snowcats, or making a cup bowl with our elders. She gestures for you to take a glance at the huts, the spears, and the rocks beneath her. We've our own seasons, trades, and legends. Spirits guide us through dreams and thunders. Children learn stories older than emperors. As she grows more passionate with every word, the chief observes her with a smile. He reaches for his sword, observing the dark scabbard covered with a fancy pattern of squares. If we were a tribe of the 10 cities, you'd like to hear it, we dig for ore, grow crops, hunt. We lack some things, but we have others in abundance, and we accept what we get, and won't open our gates to no merchants, or blood we can't trust. So, who's the decision maker in the village? The chief or the shaman? The village decides for the village, Cephas smiles. In the tribe, a chief worries about the things of today, and a shaman about the things of the past and tomorrow. Guyan looks at him with respect. But there are harvests of this season, she says solemnly, but taste like ashes without memories and hopes. She points at the bones and pebbles beneath her, as if they're meant to explain it all. A quiet tune plays from the opposite end of the chamber in an attempt to calm a crying child. I don't care what they think about Hovlavon. Old Pagos, the village on the opposite side of the peninsula, was attacked by a plague. Cephas glances at the puzzled shaman and says a word in the old speech, causing her to gasp and switch the positions of a few bones. He then looks at you. Terrible, but we can do nothing. They have to endure it, and will not risk breathing their air. Guyan nods in agreement, even though there's a sadness to her voice. Souls and tribes come and go, but the woods abide. For 10 years now, we have let the lowlanders keep to themselves. 10 years, huh? Can I help you with anything as a Roadwarden? Do we look as if we need one's help? Do you see cracks in our walls that can't be sealed without your blood, or monsters you can sing to sleep? Guyan reaches for 2 green gems and places them on the edge of the fabric, side by side. Don't get angry. Her voice is close to a whisper and seems to ease the ire in the chief's gaze right away. When she looks at you, she keeps her hands in front of her, palms up. Does your soul speak of pride or of care? Can't see it. But we're good as is, and ask you to trust our mouths to ask for us if we need them to. Okay. I can't ask anything else about High Island. The roads are dangerous. Do you have any useful equipment to sell? Maybe we can barter? The chief scoffs. Why? Do you have something we may want? We don't have dragon bones. Don't trade. And we need what we have. We have more horns than we need. The shaman chips in. And after a bit of a pause, Cephas agrees. We could barter for it. Our guards and scouts use the horns of many beasts. But there's one type we don't use anymore. The war horn, Guyan adds ominously, roars like a dragon. The chief smirks. That's right. Most beasts flee when they hear it, but can't show you how it sounds here. We'd go deaf. Okay, well, can I see it? The dragon horn. Interesting. You look at the horn, thinking of the things you could offer to the tribe, maybe another time. Just nothing. None of the stuff we have is interesting. That really sucks. I really thought this chisel was going to be worth something to them. Because, how could it not be? Well, alright. I expected this mountain to be a bit more green. We are of it, but not on it. Cephas glances at the flames. The Green Mountain is on High Island. Guyan's voice becomes melodic, even as she pauses when she says a few of the more unique words out loud. The volcano in the very center. Around it, our fields were growing like they could in no other soil of the north. Every few lifespans, lava turns to ashes, the woods that it feeds. But these ashes give birth to the sweetest fruits and heaviest grain. I'd offer them a gift to show my goodwill, but I've nothing they'd be interested in. Do we have to bring them a second thing? Alright, that's everything I wanted to ask about. Asking what they think about Havlavan is not useful. That was less than I wanted it to be. If we got the horn, we could blow it to scare off the griffin, I'm sure. Well, we can ride back for Foggy's. I'll take a decent portion of our day. We'll be able to interact with Foggy. We can make it as far back as Howler's Dell. If we stop at Foggy's and do almost anything, we won't make it to Howler's Dell today. But we do need to, at the very least, talk to Foggy about Yesun and stuff. It really sucks that there's no place to sleep between Foggy Lake and Howler's Dell. Oh, we should probably talk to Quintus, huh? Now that we've gotten rid of Glaucia. Yeah, alright, let's ride out. I'm gonna go to the old bridge. Oh, I was hoping to just, like, wash my face. I am covered in garbage. Alright, up to Foggy Lake then. Approach the foragers. It's fees. Price has not changed. I guess not a huge surprise. Enter the tavern. Approach Foggy. Hey, Foggy. I had a talk with Yesun. You're not going to love what he had to say. She encourages you with a smile. And what did he say, love? I can't choose to tell her the truth. I cover for him. After your tale, she scratches her knee. So you're saying Asterion is to blame. Fine. I'd rather hear about it from the hunters themselves without waiting for them to wake up. Thanks. That's a big help. She hands you the cold pieces of bone. Here are your dragons. Yeah, let me know if you have anything else for me to do. She sighs and nods toward a wooden cask that's under the table. It's not larger than your stomach. I was planning to ask you to take it to White Marshes, but I guess that won't happen now. It's a mighty fine strong cider. Brewed it myself. If you wish so, I could sell it to you for maybe 4 dragons. It's worth more, but won't last long. Till the winter at best. Could try selling it somewhere else. Is this one of the things that they would... where was that? I think they said a cask of liquid was one of the things they might appreciate. Where was that? I guess the quest is fallen off here. Gosh, what was it even called? Hidden Village. A cask full of golden liquid? It turns out each one of these were not just like a general idea. Each one of these is a reference to a specific object. I have some things I'm willing to part with. You want this stoat? Good job with the clean kill. I see no wounds on it. She takes a good look at the dead stoat. Better sell it while it doesn't smell. I'll free you of it for 6 dragons. Hell yeah, deal. Alright. That rules. I think I will buy the cask of cider then, for sure. Okay, what else did we have on us that we needed to work with? She didn't want to buy the antlers. I don't really know who would. I guess we don't have anything else that's like immediately critical that we sell. We could go get rid of these magic quills. The thing is, if we actually do want to go back... If I actually do want to go back to the Tribe of the Green Mountain, I can't do it now. It's day 34? We ride up to Gale Rocks. We could ride up to Gale Rocks, get a decent wash. I'm a little worried about my vitality. We're going to have a hard time putting our vitality up to 4 fast enough. And I don't have the materials to make another healing potion, right? Yeah, I'm out of Buells. Well, actually, that reminds me. A thing we definitely also need to do is go talk to Thyrsis. 215 there, 215 back. We won't be able to get back. Huh. We may end up having to use our healing potion. But maybe we do this when we're planning to ride west. For right now, we just like go back to... This is tough. I'm trying to figure out how to put us in the best position to negotiate with the Tribe of the Green Mountain again. But we have very little time in which to do so. 6 days before autumn. Oh, speaking of time, geez. Okay, we're 75 minutes into this episode. You know what I'm going to do here? Is I'm going to agonize about this off camera. That's where I'm going to leave it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Y'all come back next time. I will have a plan. I would really, really, really like to get the Green Mountain Tribe's blessing before going to their island. If they won't give it to us, we're still going. Because, like, I'm not trying to do a colonization or despoil their lands or anything. I just need to find what I'm assuming will be the corpse of Asterion. And then... from there, I don't really know what. I've been so focused on figuring out what happened to Asterion, I don't really have a plan for afterward. Then we can maybe try to depose Theus real quick before autumn hits. I don't know. It's going to be a packed last 6 days. That's what I do know. Come back next time for some of it, and we'll see you then.